Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, welcome to Locked On Cardinals. Alex, Clancy, Bo Brack. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you to everybody who is continuing to subscribe on YouTube. Numbers are going up, Bo. Numbers are going up. Yeah, thank you, everybody. You'll see that we're posting at different times of the day. We're trying to see where to maximize, what makes it easiest for everybody to watch. Sometimes we're doing it at noon, sometimes at 5 at night Pacific. We'll land on a time sometime soon. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by the live NBA draft show. Man, that's tonight. Starts at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. NBA Draft GOAT Chad Ford, Locked On NBA Draft host Rafael Barlow, and Locked On NBA host John Carolus will be live this year tonight covering the NBA Draft. It's Locked On NBA Draft 2021, brought to you by Bo's favorite, Built Bar. Get local expert analysis on each pick. Follow Locked On NBA on YouTube today and watch our live coverage this afternoon starting at 4 o'clock Eastern. It feels weird the Suns don't have a pick. Yeah. Feels weird the Suns don't have a pick. Like a double-digit pick that we're seeing.
Yeah. In the top 10.
Yeah, hoping that the Arizona Cardinals will not have one of those at the end of the 2021 season. Bo, there's a lot of things still to talk about. Like the Patrick Peterson stuff is still pissing me off. I think we're going to put a moratorium on that. I'm sure he's going to say something else before the season starts. Definitely before week 2 when they visit the Arizona Cardinals. That couldn't be more serendipitous. That couldn't be more perfect that they're coming here. And that's one of the home games for the Arizona Cardinals coming up in week 2.
Home opener, man.
Yeah. And he's going to expect a Tinker Take parade, and he's going to get booze and proverbial sodas thrown on him at this point, it seems like.
And he's going to blame the fans.
Yeah.
He's going to blame the fans for them booing him. Yeah. Like, oh, you guys don't know. You don't boo these guys. You don't boo the offensive players.
I'm one of the best cheaters you guys have ever had. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Follow him at Bob Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. JJ Watt, are we going to give him a freebie? I put out a tweet that, I didn't think it was going to get that much run. When I say I'm getting eviscerated on Twitter, it's not like a crown or a badge of honor that I wear. I'm not bragging by any stretch. I'll try to defend myself. That'll come up in the second segment. And Throwdown Thursday. Sorry?
I don't know how you will. I'm
just going to mute your mic so I can just allow myself to get it off my chest and we can move the hell on. Throwdown Thursday is going to be in the third segment. This was Bo's idea, sparked from a Darren Urban tweet, AZ Cards Chatter on Twitter, saying that Robert Alford and AJ Green look good.
In shorts, yeah.
Yeah, in shorts. Like they have nice size, or are they actually like...
No, he didn't say that. He was just qualifying it. He was just like, hey, I'm not saying... I'm saying, but I'm not... I'm just saying, right? He wasn't trying to say that anoint Robert Alford is, supplanting himself or keeping himself as the CB2, and then AJ Green was on the resurgence trail. I think he was just saying, hey, practice one in shorts, they look pretty good. They look pretty good.
Who needs to have, not who will have, who needs to have a bigger impact on the Arizona Cardinals in 2021 to help the team move forward and inevitably get some more wins? First, JJ Watt tweaked his hammy. He's on the PUP list, should be ready for week 1. Bo, I equate this to a strict teacher in college in a smaller class saying you're allowed to be late once, and once you're late once, you get docked points. I feel like JJ Watt gets 1 before there's any sort of, speculation like, oh man, is his body already failing him? Oh man, what did the Cardinals do? Why did they give him so much money? Is that fair, or should this raise a flag immediately?
It makes you raise your eyebrows. It does. It's not great. I'm not sitting here hovering my hand over the panic button just yet, but look, the guy that there is a lot of people who are concerned about his ability to stay healthy. He played all 16 games last season. Absolutely. He played 8 the previous season, and then he played another full 16, and then he was really injury plagued before that. If you look at his injury history, it's the game operation. Like you just see like that's his body, where just point to a place on his body, he's injured it. Yeah. And at his age, I don't know. It's just look, to say I'm not concerned about it would be a lie. I think that it is something to follow along with. Hamstrings are annoying, but the fact that it is just a sore hamstring and they're just being super cautious about it, it's the right move. And if they can be extremely cautious about it, I have no problem with it. He's not a quarterback. He's a guy that he's going to be putting the work on the side, and he'll be good to go when he's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, all he has to do is learn Vance Joseph's specific 3-4 scheme, and like we're gonna have a lot of DNPs from him during this regular season. Not everybody's Larry Fitzgerald. You're gonna get a lot of DNPs from him. You're gonna get a lot of DNPs from DeAndre Hopkins. That's just the nature of the beast for J.J. Watt's age and for DeAndre Hopkins, and that's how he rolls. As long as he shows up and is an all-pro on Sundays, he's the exception to the you must practice every day to show out on Sunday rule.
Well, Fitz had the old guy vet day off.
Sure.
I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
So if I don't know if JJ Watt if that's something that he did in Houston, but I hope it's something that they might implement here in the desert.
Yeah. I mean, his thunder thighs were out to play the day before, as you mentioned. So I don't know if this is it's July 29th. We've been talking about some of the same crap for the last 2.5 months. This is a new thing. We're not blowing this out of proportion. It's just a new topic to discuss because this is the first time J.J. Watt is actually an Arizona Cardinal and not having Zaven Collins, roll down the 14th green because he forgot breakfast. This is the first implementation of Steve Keim's offseason, acquisitions. And sure, you don't want to see the star-studded leader of these offseason acquisitions get injured pretty much on day one. So that's why we're talking about it. But I mean, eyebrow raised, but pass along until something else comes up. Hopefully doesn't.
Yeah, just a little context. I mean, he did it during the conditioning drill. It's just a baseline. Everybody has to do this running drill to kind of get themselves ready for the first day of practice. And if they can't do it, it's super simple. It's super simple. It's not even like going out there and breaking your neck trying to do something and just completely exhausting yourself. It's if you've been there, and I've been there a couple of times to witness it, you're watching guys do you remember the beep drill in high school, or not in high school, but just in elementary school? They would have the music play, and then they would play a beep, and then you'd have to go faster.
No.
It was part of the presidential and those I
know those. But it's a killer 40-yard dash.
It's just concerning that your big off-season acquisition, especially after seeing him put up the picture that he did, where it's just there's a prime candidate to pull a hamstring. I'm a little concerned that during those drills, it was too much for his gigantic hamstrings. But now hopefully he'll be fine.
Alex, Clancy, Bo Brack, Locked On Cardinals. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Follow him at BOBRACK. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Please subscribe, like, YouTube, everything. We are going to blow that up. We are So it's been almost 2 months now. Not even 6 weeks, really, that we've been on YouTube, and really appreciate everybody supporting us. Comments, we're getting more and more every day with that. So Bo and I record this a little bit earlier. We're still playing around with this a little bit. Full disclosure, we will be in the comments watching and commenting, even though we recorded earlier in the day. So you can still interact with us, even though we recorded a few hours earlier. So we're still trying to fine tune everything that we're doing here. Coming up next, I don't know. I put out a tweet. Let's talk about it. RockAuto.com. I love talking about because they're my favorite. They're my favorite child. They're my favorite sponsor to talk about. You don't have to go to a chain storefront to get the stuff you need for your cars. You just don't. Whether it be your daily driver, your weekend convertible, it doesn't matter. Go to rockauto.com, family-owned business. They've been online for 20 years. All you have to do is search and type, I need paint. Or you don't need to do the I need part. Tail lamps, whatever, carpet, rockauto.com's got you covered. You don't get upcharged because you're not a manufacturer, which is fantastic. And, they're there for you. Go to rockauto.com. The prices are reliably low. rockauto.com. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box so they know we sent you? Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Second segment, Alex Clancy, Bo Brack. Follow him at Bob Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Bo, you look rested today. Has Mr. Gray Brock allowed you a little sleepy time?
This was the longest stretch he went today. I mean, it was an all-pro performance by my son.
Didn't tweak a hamstring.
Just over a month old. And I'm going to say that. I'm not going to go the week's way, that way. And I'm not going to go once it hits the year. I'm not going to continue with the months.
39 months.
It's 39 months sleeping like a champ. No, he's just over a month sleeping like a champ. And I probably sound more tired, but I think it's probably because did I get too much sleep? Now, like, what are we doing here? There's no such thing.
And he has got a pure Zoolander's kid mop on his head. Towards the end of the movie,
better head of hair than Alex, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm bald. You'll see me look like a Q-tip one show after I shave my head. Okay, so I put this tweet out, and let me qualify this. I thought I was giving myself more of an out with my verbiage than I did. Like, this was supposed to be a list season, teams that could break out ranking, where it's like, oh, let's just throw something at the wall and see if it sticks. Not a this will happen. I was closer to the latter than the former, and I didn't try to do that, but this is what I said. The Arizona Cardinals may have the best long-term plan of any team in the NFC West. Okay, everybody chill. Take a breath. Let me explain. Bo, turn your microphone off. Okay?
Please. Don't get a sore hamstring, JJ Watt like.
I won't. My thunder thighs are out, baby. So the long-term plan, the main cog in it is Kyler Murray. Okay? San Francisco doesn't have a quarterback. The Rams have an old one, and Russell Wilson wanted out like 15 minutes ago. So the instability in that locker room and from the quarterback position, even though Russell Wilson is a better quarterback right now, obviously, even though Matthew Stafford is arguably a better quarterback right now than Kyler Murray, I still think long-term Kyler Murray is the better option. Defensively, in the skill positions of Budda Baker, the linebackers, and Byron Murphy, and Tay Gowan and Marco Wilson, listen, long-term, if those players work out, they may have the best long-term plan on defense. Because when you look at the 49ers, okay, they probably have the best young defense. The Rams, 1-53 on Sunday, have an expiration date of about a year. They're not going to keep all those players. They can't, salary cap-wise. There's going to be cap casualties. There's injuries for them every single year, and the Cardinals have them at least. But the 49ers defense is probably the best because they're the youngest right now, okay? Offensive line-wise, the Cardinals are set. The Rams' offensive line has... Long-term, sure. I mean, Rodney Hudson can play 6 more years. Centers play a long time. DJ Humphries is young, okay? All in all, the only weak point of my sentence, the weak point of my tweet, was obviously Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim. But I feel like they're not going to be around long-term, so it's going to get better.
Oh my God. It's like, Alex, was it your first day on Twitter yesterday? You're like, oh, give me a break. There's all this nuance surrounding this tweet. My God.
There is.
Put the tweet back. I'm going to put the tweet back up. Are you ready? Okay. The Arizona Cardinals may have the best long-term plan of any team in the NFC West. Let me fire this tweet out for you. The Arizona Cardinals have the best long-term plan at quarterback in the NFC West. That's it. That's the only thing you could probably lay claim to. And that's a big piece. Look, that's the most important piece, no doubt about it. But the other stuff, like the things you're saying about the defense, like, hey, Byron Murphy could do this, Zaven Collins could do this. Because if you're going to say the same thing for the San Francisco 49ers, there's question marks regarding the future and whether those guys are going to tap into their potential. I'm with you. Like, Nick Bosa had his good rookie season, and we don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy enough. I mean, talk about a guy with injury concerns, but he's still when healthy, good.
Yeah.
You've got the best, probably going into this season, the best defensive player in the division in Fred Warner.
Yes.
And he's under 25. So those are just 2 building blocks. Warner's locked in. I just think that San Francisco, you got to give the edge to him. And then when you look at, LA, it's yeah. Aaron Donald's 30. I mean, the guy's been an absolute monster, but the level, the where he plays, it's not sustainable. As big of a freak as he is, yeah, I understand that. Jalen
They're
Ramsey,
in last. The Rams are in last across the board for long-term plans.
But when was the last time? I mean, when was the last time they had a first-round pick? When was the last? I mean, they've been doing a good job.
Gurley?
I just think that you're probably right in that. I mean, the one thing is that the quarterbacks play so long, and if Matthew Stafford at his age, if he could play another half decade, he could play 5 more years at a high level. And then like you've got Robert Woods, you got Cooper Kupp. Those guys are good on the offensive side of the football. I'm not a big believer in any of these offensive lines is long term in the entire division. I mean, a lot of them have some older players on it. I mean, you talk about the Rams, but then Seattle, like I said, same thing I said for Stafford. I mean, Russell Wilson could play, another 5-8 years. He's got Tyler Lockett. He's got DK Metcalf. I just think, look, I understand just from an insider's perspective and looking at this Cardinals organization, what could be and how it could potentially project out it's exciting, but at the same time, the way it's perceived around the league and within the people who cover the division, I don't think that I think the Cardinals the highest. They can't. There's no way anybody would put them as the top spot except at the quarterback position. As far as just overall projectability, the Niners have it just because they spent a 3rd overall pick on a quarterback. They've got the 2 wide receivers in Ayuk and Samuel. George Kittle's pretty young. And then you've got the guys on the defensive side of the football. I didn't even mention Javon Kinlaw, who they used the 1st-round pick on. So I think just what they have in the building, projectability, young talent, the Niners have it. But 1 winning season in 4 for Shanahan. So who knows? Can they put it together? That's another question.
My thought process here was Kyler, Hopkins, Baker. For the next 5 years, give me a better trio in the NFC West than that.
I don't know. The qualifier is DeAndre Hopkins is 29.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say
the way he plays, he doesn't get it's his playing style. It's not like if Devontae Adams were 29 or were his age, Devontae Adams gets hurt every single year. He gets hurt every year in one way or another. He's got the Julio Jones questionable tag the majority of seasons. Okay, DeAndre Hopkins is ready to roll on game day. It's just I think him not being the fastest can yield more years on the back end than other guys who are going balls to the wall with speed and everything, getting hit really hard.
Yeah, if you're going to take that, if you're going to say, hey, if we get DeAndre Hopkins, then Rams fans could say, well, nothing has told me any different about Aaron Donald.
Okay. So Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, who's the 3rd?
Those receivers, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods.
And would you take them over the 3 of DeAndre, Kyler Murray, and Budda Baker?
Probably with a veteran quarterback in there, yeah. It's not like Matthew Stafford's going to retire next year.
Alex Clancy, Bo Brack, Locked On Cardinals. Coming up next, Throwdown Thursday, Robert Alford, AJ Green. It sounds like we're kind of scraping for stuff here. This is a very important conversation to have ahead of the 2021 season. Offense or defense, who needs more help? But first, Bo's going to talk about a little Bet Online here.
Yeah, betonline.ag. We are 1 week away from NFL football, Alex. It's going to be the Hall of Fame game kicking off from Canton. And if you just cannot wait for the NFL action, you can get in on it because betonline.ag is the fastest, easiest way to do so. You like the Steelers -1? Throw down some shekels. You can do it right now. You like the total of 34. You want to go over. You want to go under. You're like, oh, there's no way that these scrubs are going to be able to put up enough points to net me some money. BetOnline.ag. Plus, you've got Major League Baseball in full swing. You can get in on all that action. You can get all the news. You can get all of the information you need, plus the sign-up bonuses. If you go right now and you sign up for an account today, you get a welcome bonus of 50%. So if you put in $50, you get $25 free to play around with and build your stack. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
Final segment, Locked On Cardinals. Please go hit the like button. Smash the like button, as Bo says, and subscribe on YouTube. Follow him at Bob Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Got some fun guests coming up in the pipeline. We're going to get Josh Weinfuss next week. ESPN Arizona Cardinals writer. Love him. He's a big fan. We're a big fan of his, and he's joined us a bunch throughout the offseason. Going to try and get Cam Cox, Ryan Cody, Shearson Susel before the season starts, all from our Tegna partner, 12 News here in Phoenix. Bo, Throwdown Thursday. Who needs to have the bigger impact in the 2021 season for the Arizona Cardinals in an effort to move them forward to hopefully get a couple more dubs? Robert Alford or AJ Green? Go.
Should I just steal your thunder and just say AJ Green, because I know you just have a
you're not going to do it, so it's
I'm
fine.
not, because I think it's just going to be so key. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and our guy Mike hit us up on Twitter, and he was talking about just what the Arizona Cardinals' plan was, and it's to just have this front seven feed the defense, just set the tone, get quarterbacks off their spot, make poor throws, and pedestrian cornerbacks can thrive off of that, and that's what you're going to get from Robert Alford. You're not going to get a shutdown corner. You know, a lot of people have forgotten in the 2 years that he's missed what type of cornerback he was at the end of his tenure with the Atlanta Falcons. But before that, he was a very good cornerback, and he needs to be that guy. He needs to turn back the clock. Now, asking him to do so might be a little unrealistic, but I think as far as where the necessity lies, it's he needs to be a guy that's going to be a serviceable starter for the Arizona Cardinals opposite Malcolm Butler. You need that guy to play outside, so a guy like Byron Murphy can continue his development. And then the two guys that you took in the NFL draft, and Marco Wilson, where you traded up in the 4th round, and Tay Gowan that you got in the 6th round, chance for those guys to develop. You need that. You can't have a Tremaine Brock performance from a couple years ago where you just a target practice for opposing quarterbacks to their wide receiver. They need him to be an NFL caliber starting cornerback, at least for half of the season, until these other guys develop. It absolutely has to happen. On the offensive side of the football, they have other options. On the defensive side of the football, there's too much of an unknown. They're too green, and they need Robert Alford to be the guy that, for whatever reason, they're bringing back for a third time.
Tremaine Brock was a Matthew Stafford pass off the chesticles on Detroit's 35-yard line in overtime, away from giving the Arizona Cardinals a victory in Kyler Murray's first ever game, week 1 of the 2019 season.
They need to play that on a loop anytime people talk about Matthew Stafford in the MVP conversation.
He's got a great mop, though. He's got a great head of hair.
Just show him hitting Tremaine Brock.
Just
between the numbers, I think 20, right between the 2 and the 0, and then Tremaine Brock just dropping it and dropping their chance at a win that game. Kyler Murray's first start.
It's AJ Green, and I'm not going to say it's not close, because it is. If the offense isn't the strength, why is Cliff Kingsbury here? I'm going to continue to say that is going to be on a T-shirt that I am going to wear and just put it up to the camera whenever we have a conversation like this. DeAndre Hopkins needs help. AJ Green can give it to him. Rondale Moore is a question mark, not because of his talent, but because we don't know if Cliff Kingsbury is going to be able to use him correctly. The running back room is a question mark. Chase Edmonds looks great. Physically, he's ready to roll. Cool. We'll see what happens. James Conner, ready to roll. Cool. We'll see what happens. He can't stay healthy. The offensive line is better. It'll give Kyler Murray more time. AJ Green needs to go into the Wayback Machine to like 2017. I'm not looking for 2014 AJ Green. Give me 75% of what he was at his peak. 70%, 75%, 800 yards, 7 touchdowns, and a bunch of catches. Give him 60 or 70 catches on the year. The dude will move the sticks better than any wide receiver to the Arizona Cardinals had last year, including Larry Fitzgerald and his timely catching. I think that AJ Green will surprise everybody. And this isn't my love for AJ Green spewing through. This is looking at a dude and the situation surrounding him, and it's his turn to break out, because he's not going to retire after this season. He wants another contract, whether it be through the Cardinals or wearing 18 in a different jersey. 1 year, $6 million, upwards of 8, to prove to everybody in the NFL that he's still got it. And he does. And he needs to show everybody. Otherwise, the Cardinals are going to be in trouble offensively.
Well, I mean, they do have fallbacks in Christian Kirk in a contract year as well. Younger, more of an ability to get over AJ Green. And then also you've got Rondell Moore, a guy that you used the second round pick on. There's more of a safety net. It's, as far as, is it going to catch you if you fall? You might plummet to the earth potentially because of how it's set up. But I just think AJ Green, when you look at him just getting open, and that's not on Joe Burrow, that's not on Ryan Finley. Getting open, he was the worst in the NFL. Just the worst. Not like kind of bad. The worst. Like,
there's also a new offense, right?
It's
because he was hurt the year before.
This is a new offense for him this year.
Yeah, but he's got DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green are similar in the way that they don't need separation to get open. I mean, they don't need separation to catch passes. They just need a quarterback to trust them. Joe Burrow had his love affair with T. Higgins immediately, just like Kyler did with Christian Kirk.
Well, as a T. Higgins fantasy owner, that's not true. It took him 5-6 games.
Oh, okay. That's why your team was so terrible. That really, that's great. Having Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, and you can't make do you make the playoffs?
No, I missed it.
Yeah, you had a terrible team because you drafted Cam Newton.
So I did not draft Cam Newton. I picked him up right before the season started.
Did you play him?
Shut up.
So listen, and the thing with Robert Alford is, I've seen it from AJ Green. I haven't seen Robert Alford in pads as an Arizona Cardinal. I trust AJ Green's past more than I trust Robert Alford having a pick six in the Super Bowl and parlaying that into staying on an Arizona Cardinals roster when he hasn't been healthy for 1 second.
But like your tweet, which is the Twitter equivalent of just throwing poop at the wall and seeing if it sticks, this conversation, you're qualifying it. It's like, who needs to have the best season? Who needs to have the biggest resurgent season after a couple down years? Robert Alford or AJ Green? No, look at who's behind Robert Alford. It's two rookies that were drafted in the late rounds, and then it was Darqueze Dennard.
Yeah,
I mean the cupboard is just completely, it's barren. You need Robert Alford to play and start and be serviceable. AJ Green, if he falls by the wayside, if he is who he was the last 2 seasons, you've got a couple options behind him. I'll just take
your sentence. Your sentence of Robert Alford needs to play, comma, should just end with a period, and that's your conversation with me. He just needs to play because he hasn't,
right?
And even if Robert Alford has never been a Pro Bowl caliber corner.
That's not true. He's been
in the last 4 years or so.
When they went to the Super Bowl, he was good. He was really good.
But they cut him because he wasn't good enough. He wasn't worth the money.
Season, he was a redheaded stepchild.
I'm a red bearded stepchild, so I don't know if that's exactly if I
you,
should take
you were
offense
on this,
that. If I should
you were for this debate, yeah.
I should be triggered. Alex Clancy, Bo Brack, Locked On Cardinals. We'll talk to you tomorrow.